the sense sphere. You must listen to our demands.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back. I feel as I've been in this chair only very recently. Well, what's happened in the space of, I don't know, a matter of seconds from yesterday? Oh, quite a lot. Look, let me just, for the sake of a moment, just say this. 219 days ago, I did my first ever YouTube stream on the Sensesphere. I took ages learning how to do the tech, how to create a logo, how to set up YouTube, how to edit. Was this the retirement I wanted? As I fumbled through the first ever live show on December the 12th, 2023, a review of The Giggle, I wondered, why am I doing this? Will anyone notice it with such stiff competition out there? How do I reach out? How do we create a special style or tone or message? Anyway, 219 days later, 111 shows later, we have 1,000 subscribers. And I am genuinely stunned. So thank you all, panelists, contributors, viewers, who have become friends and helped build a community from nothing. It has been amazing and very affirming. So it will feel lovely and celebratory today as we embark on our therapy, our Doctor Who detox. Plenty of news, there's lots to get on with. Let me just do some of my housekeeping before I forget. I always forget. I mean, I'm not that any good. So that is our show today. That's where you can contact me. The X is a good one. DM me on that. Use the yellow box as well. Email sensesphere@gmail.com. Of course, thank you. 1,000 subscribers in 219 days. What happened there? But thank you for being on our journey and sticking with us and reposting and advertising us. Thank you. Last night, yeah, we were hot to trot. In fact, it was one of my favorite ones, I'll be honest with you. We had a really good laugh. We had lots of detail. We discussed it in detail. The Invasion of the Dinosaurs, for example. We had the biographer Michael Herbert on of Malcolm Hulke, but we had a damn good laugh. There were lots of reasons for having a laugh. Some of them were the best and worst SFX in Doctor Who that got us going. And I might be asking Cybermat Strikes in a minute about that. But yeah, it was great. And of course, we did What Would Shooty's Doctor Do, which is becoming notorious. So let me just get Cybermat Strikes on. Hiya, Cybermat.
Hey, Brendan. Congratulations. That's I feel privileged to be here at your 1,000K.
Yeah, it should be a party or something, shouldn't it?
Yeah, I feel like we should be cracking open the
but it's great.
Whiskey over there.
As we said before we started, it's about making friends about Doctor Who. That's the whole essence of it. Now, if you're an Aussie, so your hours are different. You may not have seen our show last night on Invasion of the Dinosaurs, but I always like to show you a couple of items that we did. So when you see here the third Doctor, of course, meeting Captain Yates after a while and General Finch, I always ask, what would the Shooty Doctor do in this scenario? And the one I posited last night, Cybermat Strikes, was he'd have said to Captain Mike Yates how fit he was, and you've been to the gym, I notice, and that's a very firm handshake. You know what he's like. Anyway, what do you reckon our 15th Doctor, who's emotionally very, intelligent, would do?
I think you'd be saying, "Give me the lovin'."
Which is very possible. I've only got one more because most of us have done it last night. There's a moment when they get in that closet lift And he's got the Brigadier in there, and it's been changed so they can't use it as a lift. And in a confined space with a Brigadier, what do you think the 15th Doctor would do? The most leading question in history from me.
Oh, oh no. I think he turned off his torch.
Turn off his, yeah, you could play. Yeah, what's that game you play in the dark? I don't
Murder
know.
in the dark.
Yeah. Anyway, so we did have a laugh last night about that, and I think that's the way to do it. We shouldn't be getting angry or anything about the way Doctor Who is sometimes. What I did want to say to you is, you're in Australia. Please tell me, is anything going on in Australia regarding Doctor Who news? Like, are the Brisbane sweatshops still running? Has the Butcher of Brisbane been found? Magnus Grail. Any news?
Well, actually, I heard from a family member today that that ABC was doing reruns of New Who.
When you say new, what do you mean?
Like 2005 Who.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, obviously Disney doesn't have the monopoly on that. So obviously ABC's.
That would be a big win for the Aussies, wouldn't it? Not having to pay and getting something back.
Yeah, well, obviously it's not New Who.
Yeah.
Whatever they call it.
It's a sop, I suppose. Yeah, I know. So let's just see who we've got with us. Crimpline's with us. Good to see you, Crimpline. I remember the days in lockdown, I would see you on good old Dan's channel and I'd go, oh, Crimpline, I wonder where he is. Divine and Dragon, who I was trying to catch up with before this stream, but I will later. In America, the Talons of Wayne Cheyenne. Thank you for that. I know, I can't believe it. Reverend Ravenwolf. I think it's called a like hike. I'm learning, I'm learning. Anthony Parkinson there, you've created RTD Destroys, and I do have a saloon tomorrow. You would expect me to do a saloon on RTD on Friday, on that deadline article, don't you worry. Boomer Doug, here he is. Sorry, all thumbs don't know how word mob appear. Basically, I just yes, because of course you've got your channel and you said you had 800 views and you don't know why. Never ask, Doug. Just do it. It's very weird. So we did an early show called Sex in the TARDIS. I think the word sex might have helped. But anyway, freaked out, and then the next week you're getting. Just keep going. Get them algorithms going, Doug. It'll work. So we've got a lot to talk about, and I think people have joined us to find out what we are going to talk about. So, of course, let's get going. Now, did you see this, Cybermat Strikes? I'm getting so sick of this. When they keep doing these tweets and they have this kind of strange code, and you thought, oh, does this mean Mrs. Flood is Susan? And did you see this one?
Is that Doctor Who plus Star Trek?
Is that
what that is?
Affirmative. And did you see the little mini trailer?
No, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, calling all Starfleet crew, and you saw the Enterprise. Then straight after, you saw the TARDIS and all Time Lords. So they are Time Lords again. Oh, there you go. I thought he was a foundling. And then it pulled it together to say, join us for an intergalactic panel with Russell T Davies and Alex Kurtzman. Now, I don't know if that filled you with joy or apathy, but it reminded me in Space Babies, there was some dialogue. Is that like a matter transporter? I think it was Millie said, like in Star Trek. And then he said, we've got to visit them one day. I mean, is there something in this? What do you think's going on? I mean, is this just what fans do? They get excited about, they're feeding us by saying we're going to do a mashup of a panel, or is the mashup a portent for something else?
Well, it depends which one they're mashing up, I guess. But I do know some Trekkies that might be interested, but I don't know. Does Doctor Who and Star Trek really fit together? I don't know.
I'm not quite sure why you look. The Whoniverse is one thing. I know some of us, like we said in our detox last week, you might be bending unit too far and diminishing unit too far just to fit something into your scheme. But this, now, okay, they're going to sit behind a desk and they're going to take questions and maybe tell us about the next seasons for both their programs. It could be just that. But why
Would be
do it?
pretty cool. Would be pretty cool to have the Cybermen rock up and smack the crap out of the Borg.
But would that happen? You see,
Mm.
if you're the showrunner of Star Trek and you're the showrunner of Doctor Who, you're going to want your brand to win, aren't you?
Yeah,
I
but they should just come out and say plagiarize.
I mean, so yeah, and they sold it like this as well. Star Trek and Doctor Who joint panel at the SDCC 2024. And then they kind of announced it separately. There's the Track Central Twitter feed, and there's a Doctor Who production news one. Just that they're going to appear in a panel together. But the Star Trek one says a bit more. Second paragraph will appear on July 27. It will kick off the first Intergalactic Friendship Day celebration day. Now, is this creatives whose franchises are bumping around, their lifelines looking dubious, trying to invent events, hype, talk?
Is the problem that RTD and Alex has got to fill like Hall H or something at Comic-Con, and they can't get enough people together from both franchises, so they're going to blend them?
Well, there's that. I mean, there is. I mean, I'm not so much an expert on Star Trek. I've heard it's not doing well. I've seen Star Trek Discovery, and I've actually stopped watching this last season just because I got bored. As I keep joking, they are in moments of peril. They're running, shooting, and suddenly they start saying, "Are you okay? I'm really proud of you." And they do all that, and I'm bored rigid. That's not sci-fi. That's soap opera. So I've stopped watching Star Trek. So if that's telling us what the situation is, then both these franchises, like you say, Sib, might just want to have a joint panel to make the room look full.
Mm.
But this Intergalactic Friendship Day, okay, on the surface, we're going to just share a table in a room, right, and answer questions and maybe show some video clips of season 2 or whatever they're going to do. But equally, I showed you the dialogue in Space Babies. That's now canon. In Space Babies, Doctor Who, a Time Lord, mentions Star Trek and I must visit them. Now, you can call it flippant, but it is. I know the Clanners are also in Doctor Who because the Master watched them, but I just wondered, RTD, you know what he's like. He's as subtle as a brick, throwing in clues of the future.
Well, I think what it means is that Doctor Who's the real universe and Star Trek's the TV show, isn't it? That's what he's done. So, but look, I think I tuned out of Star Trek Discovery at season 3 once they zoomed off into the future. Because to be honest, I struggled with it. I mean, the whole point of having a Starfleet show and no one acts like they're a member of Starfleet just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. Let's have a look at what the thread's saying, because I'm more Doctor Who than Star Trek. So obviously, and we've got John Yulden in. He's a Trekkie as well. So it'll be interesting what people say. Right, using John Daly's famous phrase, Anthony Parkinson says they're both hacks.
What's a hack? Just kidding.
Divine and Dragon, this is what Disney is trying to pull. Live long and fails. Here's Peter Harrington. So it's going down like a bucket of sick at the moment. Reese Roder, I suppose. If it's post Capaldi, it's a doesn't matter transporter. Boomer Doug, if there's a crossover, I'm out. No intershow marriage. It's unnatural. I think the thing is, and we really don't want fan fiction anymore. We've seen what Sutek sitting on the TARDIS. We've seen what fan fiction does, especially if it's not been thought through. You could throw a TARDIS into Star Trek. Of course you could, as easy as that. But the ripple effect on both the universe of Star Trek and the universe of Doctor Who is phenomenal. We've got the Galactic Federation and Galaxy 5 in Doctor Who. It's mentioned in the Paladin saga. But they've got the Romulans and all the rest of it. How the hell is this going to feed off? I just think a mashup might be a nice little wheeze for a chat in a pub, but not to do. And I actually don't think anyone has the right to do it. I think the BBC would have to have say, because the BBC would have to surely suddenly start using their brains about Doctor Who and not just say yes to anybody they think is successful. And they'd have to say, do we want the whole franchise may be affected by this one decision?
Yeah, well, I think there are people that cross over, but usually with these franchises, people who are in them for a reason. So if they're going to, there's no reason to cross-pollinate the shows in terms of a crossover. I just don't think it's not going to translate into any kind of audience. But I agree. I think we've got to get back to playing our franchises and our shows and take them seriously. I think that people are being too flippant with these brands, and it breaks the spell, because the whole point of it is, it's escapism. So you don't want these sorts of things. This breaks, crossing over breaks that escapism, doesn't it?
Yeah, and let's be honest, we have got a fractured fandom. We've got a fractured timeline. Flux is half our universe destroyed or not. We've got the Timeless Children issue. We've got loads of issues today. We've got the Mavity nonsense, which is, are we in an alternative universe or not? We cannot cope with now suddenly just bumping into the Enterprise. It would just be too much. And I have to say, RTD has weighed down the franchise with some of his decision making. If this is a portent for something much more substantial, I think it will not just weigh down on the franchise; it might just break it.
Yeah, I think they really need to get back to the classic, do your era in your, everything's of its time and move forward. Don't look back all the time.
Yeah. Well, Divan and Dragon likes your idea, hasn't he? Hadn't thought of it, that it might be a joint panel to increase the optics. And let's be honest, Divan and Dragon, Cybermat's right. Nowadays, they are more bothered about the optics than the substance and the credibility of what they're producing. To be honest, it's always all about the optics. That's what virtue signaling is, really. Peter Harrington.
RTD is on the record saying that he loves Star Trek Discovery and has taken inspiration from it. So it's probably an opportunity for them to tell each other how much they love each other.
Yeah, and well, he's also and he's been inspired by Star Wars as well, hasn't he? So, oh dear me, Peter Harrington, both have badly gone where no fan wants to go. Yeah, good one. John, who's on his lunch, so we're counting the minutes now, like his boss. Both pitching for new jobs. What with Kurtzman being out with the Paramount acquisition and RTD about to lose his Disney deal, and yes, I mean every stream worth their salt. We'll do a stream about the deadline, and there's mine tomorrow. So tune in. I'll upload it in the afternoon. My sense for your saloon, and my question is, because you know me, I will have studied it properly, is has RTD regenerated or degenerated Doctor Who? Because if this is the regeneration game, we've got an issue where is it limping along? And yes, I know where I've put that light beam. Yes, because that's our RTD's level. Oh, I know what I'm doing. So join in tomorrow for that one. But I think let's see. I mean, I had the panel up there. I apologize. Let's have a look. So yes, we had that one. Adrian Sherlock, the series has lost me. So was Bridgerton, says Divan and Dragon. Oh yeah, the crossovers. Beeman, good to see you again. Doctor Who can be saved. Star Trek can't. Now, we did a show recently about whether you can salvage Doctor Who by keeping everything in and not cancelling anything. Divine and Dragon, as you know, came up with a resolution that does include Jodie, By Generation, Timeless Children. Beeman, do you really think we can save Doctor Who? I am, just before we start.
I agree, Beeman. I think Beeman's right. We can save Doctor Who.
I want to. I'm optimistic. But optimistic, but based on nothing. I
don't know if this is a controversial take, but I personally didn't mind the Star Trek Strange New Worlds, but I don't know if that I don't want to be slammed by Trekkies in the chat.
Series 1, I loved Strange New Worlds. It seemed to be back
Mm.
to what it's supposed to do. But then Series 2, we've stopped in our house for now because we know there's a musical episode coming, and I really don't want to go there. Divine and Dragon.
See, I like the musical.
I
thought it
will
was
look.
funny.
I can't judge till I see it. But remember, on top of their musical episode of Strange New Worlds, they also had that one in season 2 where it was all theatrical. When Americans try and do the medieval, and it's like
Mm.
it's just like panto, and you're thinking, oh god, they think they're doing English, and it was an awful episode. So that's 2 episodes of Strange New Worlds season 2. I don't like the sound of. One I've seen, one I haven't. Divine and Dragon, Timeless Child and Sutek were both fanfic created by Chibnall and RTD from ideas they had as teens. Inappropriate for True Who. I'm amazed he said it out loud, Divine and Dragon. You're in front of top millionaire, big conglomerates for the media, and you say this was something I wheezed up at 15. I wouldn't say that myself. That's not very good hype. John, they don't care about that, Brendan. They only care about the multiverse for cheap story grabs, and will leave it for the future people to fix the problem. I know we're the fans who try and we're not trying to be a pain in the neck. I mean, if the brand isn't cohesive and doesn't have a logic, we'll be out of it, unfortunately. Crimpling de Bloom, I laughed out loud this morning when I took my DWM out of its envelope. Oh yes, the Sutek cover. Yes. Humping the TARDIS, yes.
Oh, is it? Oh,
Well,
no.
he's kind of, he's doing his bit. Adrian Sherlock. I mean, I mean, you can read it so many ways. We were so joking last night. We could do a really naughty stream about Doctor Who because never mind the creature from the pit. We were talking about Sutek. He's sitting on the TARDIS and he says, "I've grown all these years." I'm going, I don't want to know. Excuse me. Get a room. I've grown. Adrian Sherlock. This show is not Doctor Who. It's an LGBTQ musical comedy show about a crying, singing, man-crushing man of colour who is nothing like Doctor Who. Adrian, and your problem is, I mean, yeah, I know. It's lost what it was. It's now become a bit of everything. Therefore, it's nothing of substance. Barry Stroud. It would be cool. The TARDIS and the Discovery could be tracked in by the Death Star. Now, Barry, I don't know if you're being serious. Let me just put my thing up again. There's the TARDIS on top. It's not in proportion, I know. On top of the Enterprise. I mean, I just can't see these in the same universe. I just can't. I think Gene Roddenberry would be furious. I would have thought, to be quite honest, because he wanted it to be, a structured universe and everything.
I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that on the Bridge of the Enterprise. That's weird.
No. I'm not seeing much in the thread that's saying they're demanding this. RTD will only be more desperate now. The Deadline article paused doubt about a third. Actually, this is my. I am not a doubting Thomas. I just like to hear the evidence, and because I'm a stream that just started from nothing, and I've got no media networks or connections, and I don't claim to have. I just don't understand why Disney would quickly, knowing what the ratings are like, say, yeah, we'll have a season 3. So when Dan Hadley on Type 40 said it has been commissioned, I was surprised because I thought, gosh, really? If I was
But did he say it was commissioned by Disney, or did he mean? Because I always thought that you'd get a season 3 no matter what, even if the BBC had to flip the bill with Bad Wolf.
Yeah,
just to cover up the they wouldn't want the stench of failure around the franchise.
Yeah, I mean, Dan's got sources. That's what they tell him. The source may not be right. I was surprised because I just thought, is that how business works now? Because normally when it's a runaway success on TV, they're commissioned fast. It's like that. Yeah. But when it's not, why don't they just make the BBC sweat? I've said it in one of my saloons, haven't I? Just make the BBC sweat, get the price down, actually get more control of the franchise, maybe.
If I was an exec at Disney, I'd be waiting to see if the BBC and Bad Wolf commissioned it without them, and then just do a deal to stream it.
And that's what RTD said. He said we can do it without Disney, and it'll look like the Horror Fan Rock. And I thought, do it now. Yeah. We don't need Disney money.
I agree. I actually think it would create discipline in the storytelling,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you don't need much CGI to sell something if you've got a good idea.
And actually, what we were saying last night about the good and bad SFX in Doctor Who, and I think the issue with the Sutek of recent season is CGI, and Star Wars fans tell you CGI it's not real, it doesn't work. You need to see a model. You need to see the model really trying to lift and do what it's supposed
I
to do.
I have a view that they should lean into the kind of hokey effects that Doctor Who's famous for, because it's part of the charm of the show, and you could actually stylize it in a way that puts it in deliberately as part of the show, but also I guess make it less real, more, I don't want to say fantasy, but
I think since I've been asking questions about why are they doing this apart from they're just going to answer questions, that's basically what it sounds like. But we all know these creatives like to plan things. Is it because, I mean, my suspicion with RTD has been he was exhausted after the first 4 seasons and the specials, and I understand that. I mean, you'll have used all your best ideas then, and he's been dragged back, and I suppose who refuses a massive paycheck? So now he's back. He's having to come up with new ideas which he didn't have before, and the fact that he's trawling back to his 15-year-old head is a worry, because he must have had those ideas in 2005, 6, and 7 and thought, that's naff, I'm not doing that. Now he's doing them. And to have those two creatives in one room tells me that are both of them tired out of ideas. And the only new idea in town, now they've done the LGBTQ stuff to death, and they've done all the other stuff that they think is new, is to actually join the franchises up as a laugh. Because they're running out of ideas. They both have run out of ideas. Tell me, Trekkies, I mean, are there new ideas out there in Trekland?
Well, I think isn't Strange New Worlds is basically a rehash of previous storylines, I think, isn't it?
I mean, yeah, I know. I'm not the expert. John Newton and others are. Adrian, the trick with regeneration was to convince the audience that a new actor was playing the same character. Now it seems they don't care about that. Very good point. RTD, remember, nothing to do with Shooty, actually. RTD saying this has to be a different doctor, an emotional doctor for these dark times. And as we were saying in our stream last night, when we listed early 70s Britain and the world, Middle East crisis, nothing new there, 3-day week, power cuts, oil crisis, weren't those dark times? But Doctor Who kept churning out good stuff. These aren't particularly dark times unless you're hyperbolic and like to exaggerate a lot and need to take a pill for your anxiety. I'm sorry. I don't think they're darker. RTD, as you know, it says they're darker about LGBT rights. That's where he says it's dark.
How is it darker now, though?
Well, yeah.
I mean, it would have been way darker 30 years ago, 40 years ago. Things are so much better today. I mean, this black pilling since 2016 just makes no sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it, and I will challenge that. And I've always been fair with RTD, but people will notice in my saloons that I'm getting less. Well, I'm not being less fair. I'm just thinking, no, I'm not putting up with this. So yes, we've discussed this, and I'm not too happy. I don't know what the point is apart from, and do you know what it made me think of? Tide Mat Strikes, of this mashup between Star Trek and Doctor Who. It made me think of the Laugh Olympics with Hanna-Barbera when they mashed up all their characters. You're too young to probably have seen this, but they had Yogi Bear with Scooby-Doo, with Hong Kong Phooey, with Josie and the Pussycats from Outer Space. Oh, it had them all mixed up. Goober and the Ghost Chasers, everybody, Huckleberry Hound, everybody. And it was just an Olympics. And a bit like the Wacky Racers, you just had Olympic events and they're all in it. Yogi Yahooies and the Scooby-Doobies.
It sounds like Hanna-Barbera land at the old Australia's Wonderland with all of these characters running around.
Yeah, and it reminds me, Cybermat, of Star Trek and Doctor Who doing a mashup idea. and it turns into something like this. The big difference is, isn't it true, folks? Because I'm sure those of my age loved these cartoons. I loved the Laugh Olympics, but it's a cartoon. It's not a serious drama, world-beating franchise. So that's what it made me think of, Cyberman. Have you ever seen that?
I haven't. I mean, I'm familiar with the Hanna-Barbera characters there, but no, I haven't seen the mashup.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is a bit of fun. Right, okay. Back onto the news. Season 2 will air earlier in 2025. Was it? I think it's March 27th or 28th. I've got the figures in here, don't worry. 28th of March.
Is that when the weather is really shit?
Well, it's been shit all year. This year, I mean, you could have put Doctor Who at any time, and there's no excuse. But okay, so it's 2 months difference because it came out just before before the Eurovision. So 2 months. Any difference in that? That's what RTD used to do. He used to do the March start, didn't he, with his seasons? And the other thing of note is, wasn't there a rumor with season 1 that it was delayed from March to May for some editorial reasons?
Yeah, you know what? I tend to think that it probably wasn't as big a conspiracy as we all thought. I suspect that it was all the graphics. Maybe they had to spend 3 months doing Sutek on the TARDIS.
Well, it was a big effect for not much delivery.
I feel sorry for the designer though, because he's actually done a great job in a way realizing it. It's just, I think everyone's disappointed that it just didn't resemble the classic one at all.
Do you know what, Cyberman? It's worthy of our conversation last night, to make the link. Because when you talk about the invasion of the dinosaurs, every Doctor Who fan talks about the model effects for the dinosaurs, right? And when you do watch those 6 episodes of Malcolm Hulke, you think, oh gosh, he was obviously told as the writer that they can do Drashig-like effects. And so he had dinosaurs in every episode appearing willy-nilly. And unfortunately, the dinosaurs are in it so much that it really makes it, tied down a little bit. Sutek, the effects you were talking about that might have delayed the series, it also made it a laughingstock, the final. It didn't work. It just was nothing. I wasn't believing in it. And the cartoon-esque effect in the time vortex and ripping, all that, the fabric of time, the curtains, it was just ridiculous. And so, yes, I feel extremely sorry because I don't know how they ever do some of these graphics. And they can't help it. They're following orders. They're doing their best. And actually, I'd love to see how they build it up. But for the story, bit like Malcolm Hulke must have looked at the dinosaurs going, I'd have had the dinosaurs and less if I knew it was going to be like this. But the showrunner, RTD, hasn't got that excuse. He knows exactly what he's doing and he knows what they can deliver or not.
But I even with the graphics and I even watching the commentaries with Barry Letts, and his disappointment with the finished product. But look at the scale of what they were trying to do with nothing. It's just, that's what I sit in awe of that and just go, they were using CSO overlay, before they even had CGI, and they were trying to superimpose dinosaurs around live action with no budget. This is stuff we can do on our computers at home these days.
Yeah. Did you hear the news, by the way? While we're talking about this now, I've got more to say about it, but Pete Harrington's mentioning that Shooty got his waxwork today in Madame Tussauds.
Is that what that tweet? I saw a post from Theories with the 2 Shooties, and I was thinking, I don't get it. So what was one of them, or waxwork?
Well, everything, this is the other thing about the media now. Everything's hurried. He's done 9 episodes and he gets a waxwork. That's a bit fast. I mean, I'd love to know if every old doctor got a waxwork so fast. You have to be very, very famous. I think with nowadays media culture, they sometimes impose fame when the fame isn't actually there. How many of the British public even know that Shooty's the Doctor? I, you know, I find it interesting that this rush to do things now when it's actually not necessarily deserved. Shooty might become a really good Doctor in a year or two's time, and then you get your waxwork. But this looks as though cart before horse.
Mm. Yeah, or you never know. Maybe it was the Bad Wolf PR machine, sort of. With that, they wanted all this to sort of come out with a crescendo, and they clearly had ideas of grandeur in terms of how this whole thing was going to end, and it hasn't ended the way they hoped. Yeah.
Maybe.
I'm sure they did. I'm sure they didn't set out for the result that they got.
No, I don't believe that. Lee Anthony Davies, I will contact you. You contact me again, and we'll get something together. I know you I'll gladly have you on here. All RTD is a master manipulator of propaganda. Series 2 has been done, but remember, it's just one series altogether in the same way Netflix strategy. Yeah, I agree. That's why I was mentioning the time flight moment that you can have Tegan disappear and then she's back in Arc of Infinity. It's got everybody going about the waxwork. I can see them churning out a third, and it wouldn't surprise me to see another Doctor after. I know. What are we doing? We're talking about things around the program. This is the problem. It's not it's not created great ideas with the storyline. So anyway, it's coming back. You can see there Millie Gibson. That's season 2, and that's her boyfriend in season 2. Now, you remember the other rumor about this? That the boyfriend of Ruby Sunday would end up being a love interest for
Shooty Gatwa.
That was the rumor. There he is. He's a good-looking lad. When Rogue's not around, do you go feral? What do you do? Oh, I don't know.
I really hope that's. I really hope that's not the case. This is not what the show needs, and you know what? This is the sort of thing Star Trek Discovery would do. That's the crossover. That's the crossover in ideology there. Yeah. Have everyone with a big love in.
John Eulden's wondering whether the waxwork Shooty will be in his pants. Well, they could save money. God, Mr. What's that? It's lovely to see all you people I've not seen before. Please subscribe. I'm getting greedy now. My Roku. I smell romance in the TARDIS.
Is that what the smell is?
Yeah. It's not one of those scented candles from one of those celebrities, is it? Adrian Sherlock, the Doctor as a character has been mangled. Yeah, I remember Mrs. Mangle as well in Neighbours. Adrian Sherlock, the narrative of the show has been undermined by breaking into song and dance. Adrian, you're sounding as though you don't like this RTD era. How shocking.
I think he's a closet fan. I think he really loves it deep down.
According to his sources, Shooty will be leaving the show at the end of season 2. Yes, that Deadline article I'm doing my saloon on, it is possible that the end of season 2 has been left open-ended, is what I heard. With none of my sources, but I've heard it somewhere.
Once it's not a fade to black, just regeneration.
Yeah.
Like Jodie.
Oh, the smells in the TARDIS are getting worse, look. No. It's a very clean-looking TARDIS. I'm sure you can get rid of that easily. Now, there was this discussion about Season 2. Info leaked from Disney's data breach suggests Series 15 will run from the 28th of March to 16th of May, and the studio classifies Disney Who as a low-budget show. Joy to the World is confirmed for Christmas Day. So, because it's a low-budget show, the fans are now saying stuff like this. I mean, I know this is Doctor Who production news, but they're saying officially, other people are saying this too. Good news on both revelations in this leak, because Disney is more likely to purchase the rights to stream 2026 if they don't consider it an expensive series to finance. And the March release date is better for ratings. Well, the second point there is true. Yeah. But hello, why didn't they do it this year? I mean, they knew that. I could tell them that, and I'm not getting paid any big bucks. Schedule it earlier. But by the way, Cybermat, on the second point about the ratings, why isn't Doctor Who as a franchise brave enough to be planted in September, October, autumn season in Britain when you're up against the big heavyweight shows? Why is Doctor Who kind of avoiding that if it's so popular?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, a lot of these classic ones, if you look at the dates on the back, it was all it used to air right through that period.
Yeah.
So it used to be a heavy hitter back in the day. But I mean, in terms of, I mean, for me, New Who's kind of always had that Easter vibe over here. So I kind of, associate it with that time of the year, which I kind of, it's the autumn here, and it's kind of a nice feeling. It's like, yeah, this is Doctor Who season here.
It's just if they're saying ratings are good, then you'd surely you'd carry on in that trajectory and go, right, let's take on, if it's the top show.
Yeah, but let's call it, Brendan. There is no way that if this show was good, it'd rate no matter what time of the year it was. That is such a red herring.
But if it's a popular show and it's a strong show, in other words, it's one of those that you build your schedule around, you put it in the autumn season in Britain. That is undoubted. If you put it in the summer season in Britain, it's because you think it needs air. It'll limp. It needs a chance. It's almost like it needs its own therapy.
So is it a bit of a graveyard shift?
Yes.
If you drop it in summer, you're not expecting anyone to watch it.
Well, the British, as soon as there's some sunny weather, aren't going to suddenly say, "Oh, shall we continue staying in?" You're going to start getting people getting out. I know it's different now. You can record and you can stream at midnight and everything, but the point is still the same. If you think this is a strong show, show me your confidence and put it in the autumn schedules. And I'm just going through the writer's tale now because one of my saloons in the next few weeks is going to be pulling out certain snippets from the writer's tale and seeing how much RTD has changed. But RTD used to argue that he wanted Doctor Who to start the Saturday night family viewing again. He wanted to resurrect it. He obviously doesn't believe in that now. Isn't it amazing? He's gone.
Yeah, he seems to have abandoned a lot of things that he thought was absolutely critical to the success of New Who in 2005, and now and things that he wanted to re-establish, but now it's kind of like, oh no, it's all too far gone now. And I don't agree with that. I think if you have those same principles, you can get a family audience back around the telly in the evening.
Yeah, well, the threads are saying lots of things here, and of course, I know nothing. I've got no contacts. I just try and use my brain, really.
What's the announcement, Matrix?
Exactly.
There will be a big announcement?
I think, Matrix Lord, you're expecting one because why would number one, they tend to do in one of the big American Comic-Cons, they do tend to do an announcement or a trailer or something, don't they? Or a bit of merchandise. So I know why you're thinking that.
Troy, he's getting a proper sonic screwdriver. That's what the announcement is.
They found one on his person. Troy, I saw an article this morning about the BBC unsure and will make a decision on its future. I saw the same article. My saloon will reflect that tomorrow, as well as the deadline one, because I like to wait slightly. I know people will be talking about it now, but I'm just lining up my ducks in a row first, so it's a bit more reflective. Peter Harrington, growing up, Pertwee era. It started, I think, around September. It did. It was normally the last week of August, actually. I remember Terror of the Zygons started last week of August. It was I think the first episodes before we went back to school. And then it went all the way through. And then what was great at Christmas is if you were lucky, you got maybe one or two Doctor Who's, depending on where the Saturdays landed, when you had no homework. And you could actually just sit back and enjoy Doctor Who rather than fit it around other stuff. And of course, there was nothing to do at Christmas unless it snowed and you went out sledging. So what else have we got here? Adrian Sherlock, the nuclear family no longer interests him. They haven't gone away, have they, Adrian? Yes, we know that kids go into bedrooms with their iPhones. I've taught for 30 years. I do know what they're doing. But they also do go downstairs and talk to their mum and dad as well. And actually, when the England was in the final of the Europeans, there will have been a lot of family members all sat in the same room. So this concept that it's gone and families being destroyed is just a dystopian view for people who are too anxious. No, if you make good telly, the family will flock around it. And he believed in
Absolutely.
it in 2005. In fact, he insisted he wanted to bring that back. He was actually saying, I'm going against the tide, but I'm going to do it. Why isn't he fighting that way now? Is he more Cybermat Strikes? It's more for the bit far for the money. And I'm not a fighter anymore,
Every mainstream sort of audience member that will sit, if you'd mention Doctor Who now, everyone says the writing has become crap.
Juvenile.
It's unanimous. It's the writing primarily, and then maybe some casting and some direction issues. But other than that, it's not the show's problem. The formula is there and it works. You've just got to apply it.
Oh, well, Divan and Dragon, bless you. I'm using my brain. That's all I've got. Do you know what? That's all I've got. Whatever's left of it. I've got no contacts. That should be the banner for the Sense Sphere. We have no contacts. We don't know what we're talking about. We just try. Because every other stream, have you noticed that? Every other stream says they've got a contact. Who is this contact? The tea lady, Susan Trist? Who is it?
Maybe if we get RTD, if you just email the Sense at the Sense Sphere at Gmail, is it?
Yes.
Just RTD, you can be our contact,
He could. And we've got a spin-off series coming of ourselves, never mind the Sea Devils. We've got all the puppets at Cybermat Strikes. I know you're dying to hear it. Tales of the Turdis. And Bad Whiff Productions. It's all ready. We're about to do it. And it's got RTD, Jane Ranter. We've got all the characters there. Oh, yeah. It's going to be...
I'll look forward to it.
As I say, you've got to laugh, otherwise you'd cry. And we know we're sick of crying from Shooty, so we might as well laugh. I love your comments, but I can't read half of them out.
Yes.
Boom had a thermonuclear family. Very good, Deadman. Very, very good. Good to see Hartnell's Ghost again. Incorrect regarding Pertwee. All his seasons in UK began in January, right? But Hartnell's Ghost, am I also correct that Terror of the Zygons... It was August bank holiday. I am sure of it. Or September 2. Something like that. That's how my memory seems to work. Despite what some people might think, I think the fans in the US are not happy with this. It is not liked here. That's what the Deadline article is going into, which is it hasn't really sat well in Britain. And in America, it's around 7th in the Disney charts, then it goes. And so yet again, we're in the kind of McGann situation with the movie where America are not really taking to it. And in Britain, where you're relying on some good, decent viewers, we're questioning it. And it's become a bit of a laughing stock in the media. So that's not a good position. And I've seen 2 articles today that I'm going to use in my saloon that are suddenly backing up the Deadline article. Yeah, I agree, Adrian. I'll tell you what, Adrian, if you wanted to come on sometime, because I do like a good chat with people. Yes, the formula. John Yulden, I think Doctor Who's been sacrificed to Disney to enable Disney, BBC and Bad Wolf to have access to more programming. I wouldn't put it past these organizations to be doing deals. Let's be honest. Whatever those deals are. I mean, quid.
That sounds like Michael Grade logic there.
Yeah. Crimpling doubloons helping me with my slogans for the future. The Sense Sphere, where we talk sense, not spheres.
What, like balls?
Well, yeah. They're certainly right. Okay, so season 2's coming earlier. Woo! Book your spot on the sofa now with your dysfunctional family. And, get ready to rock and roll on your own. You can have your feet up because the kids will be upstairs. It's fantastic, dysfunctional family. Right. And anyway, I'm not going to keep going.
No, well, why? Yeah, I don't see the problem. You've just got the whole couch to yourself with the big TV.
Yeah. The Who Shop, I just want to show this. It'll lead to a little bit of a joke. Are you one of those who would buy stuff like this? I'm not knocking it, but it's just, if it's too obviously Doctor Who, and what I mean is you're walking around with a TARDIS front doors on you, I just won't.
Yeah, that seems like something that you'd get your kid beat up in the playground, don't you think?
It's just when it's OTT. I like abstract a bit more. I'm not embarrassed by Doctor Who, although by God I should be sometimes. But I just think I don't want I don't yeah, I think you know what I'm getting at. This would work a bit better, a bit better. I'm not a big buyer of every piece of merchandise. What's
I
the
like
thread
that
thinking?
one.
Do you like that one?
Yes. I noticed you've got your different TARDIS models behind you on the shelf. Are they all B&M ones?
No, these are. I get a model maker to make them. So this is a William Hartnell one.
That looks awesome.
Oh, with you can see with the windows in.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah,
really
yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah. I think this is from around. Tell me in the stream if I'm wrong. In the thread about
Invasion Earth?
around Invasion Earth, the chase, that kind of period,
Mhm.
and that was that one. I asked for a William Hartnell one that didn't look like the beginning. We've all got that one. This is a Tom Baker, John Pertwee, 73, 74 TARDIS.
Yes.
You can tell from the blue, can't you? And the
Yeah,
light.
looks good.
Yeah. And then this one is a one-off. And if you can tell from the colour, it's more Peter Davison, but it's not
Yeah.
from the series, it's from the photo shoot. It's the cricket.
Ah.
Yeah, he only did that for the photo shoot when they put the chalk on it. So yeah, they're my three made from moi, my little bespoke ones. So if we go back to that, so you like that then, eh?
Yeah, I must admit I like seeing the differences between them all.
Well,
It's something that only a fan's going to care about.
Hartnell's Go says the baseball jacket is so Disney American, not for me. But Matrix Lord likes the jacket. You see, this is the thing.
I like the logo. I like the logo on the front.
Troy thinks it's awesome, so I think that's the baseball has got two people at least. And
I think maybe that was your TARDIS. No.
yeah, that's. Oh, maybe. Would have worn stuff like that before that. I got an upgrade line. Sir Huntingdon says, serious question, guys. Would you rather Doctor Who to go on another hiatus or continue to see it destroyed every season? My answer, we were talking about this just before we came on. I actually, honestly, because I'm a realist, I think if it was rested again, we might find it never comes back. Because I was saying, Cyberman may not agree, that who in the future, you'd have to have a massive ego, could come back knowing you've got a fractured fandom, you've got the timeless children mess, you're going to have to address it because the fans argue about it. And then you've got whatever's happened in season 1 and season 2. You've got a Doctor that none of the British public know is the Doctor anymore. So nobody knows what the Doctor Who character's like anymore because it's been changed. The TARDIS is now some sort of stupid mess. Could you really be bothered to bring this back, or would you rather just have your own ideas and show? That's where I'm at. I think a rest sounds like a nice idea because I'm also feeling a bit bleak, but I don't think it'll come back. What do you think, Cybermat?
Yeah, look, I'm not that black-pilled in terms of I don't think it should be rested. I think if this show is failing, then the people in charge need to be accountable to that failure, and they should keep churning the production team until they get the right leaders and executive producers in charge to get a result. I mean, you look at the classic series. I mean, for nearly 20 years, no one ever thought of it being cancelled. It was just you would just keep tweaking the formula until you landed on something that worked with the public. So, I mean, look at all the experimentation through the second Doctor's era, right through into Pertwee, and then the ascent right up into Tom Baker and the Philip Hinchcliffe years. I mean, and the show kept reinventing itself all the way along, didn't it? So
in small ways. The trouble is they've used that word now to say we're going to completely blooming do everything we want. Adrian Sherlock, I'm liking the cut of your jib. What you say, Ronson writer narrows his focus to niche audiences. The show shuts out the mainstream audience. Yes, And I think we've argued, and I'm sure other streams have, that you don't target. You just don't target. By the way, I was showing you these merchandise, and would you buy? Let's have a look. There he is.
Is that from the 40th anniversary?
That's Shooty.
Oh no, sorry, I meant the other
It might
the
be.
merch that you were just showing. Yeah, sorry. What the hell's he dressed up like this for?
Well, he's promoting Doctor Who. He's promoting himself. That's what he's doing.
Ashing his pink balls.
Right, I'll say it one more time. I'm a gay lad, and this would start to trigger me as please don't make me a laughing stock. Please don't. Because while we do have rights, please don't push things and boundaries too far, mate, because people will push back and then I'll get hurt. And other people who have not done anything wrong, go slowly, stop imposing your agendas. We have equal rights, so stop it. Stop it. I know you're saying, well, Brendan, why are you triggered about the skirt? But every time we see him and he's in feminine outfits and everything, he's falling into gay stereotypes that we're all, feminine, sissies and all the rest of it. Please don't do that, Shooty. If you understand the cause of people, kids in Middlesbrough and rough northeastern places and working class backgrounds, that is not what they think they are. As I say, when I was a kid, when I was growing up and I didn't know what I was, and all you see on the TV is Bronski Beat and Erasure and Boy George, it confirmed to me I wasn't gay because I wasn't like them. The trouble is, if he's going to be a gay role model, I'm not gay. Do you know what I mean? It's like it doesn't work.
Yeah.
It frightens kids.
So I'm not that familiar with Scottish culture, but that's not a kilt, is it?
No, it's not a kilt.
That is a skirt.
It's a skirt.
Right.
Yeah. It's celebrities dressing to get a photograph, isn't it? We all know what they do. And he's kind of really using his sexuality stuff to say, this is what I am. Is he really like that? I mean, I have to say, having been a teacher, most of the girls don't want to wear a skirt. They want to wear trousers. So the girls want to wear trousers. You've got upskirting and all the chaos of all that stuff. It's only in the summer that they want to wear skirts, isn't it? So he's at Wimbledon. I noticed Shooty's on grass. So he's touching grass as well. Maybe he doesn't like what's going on.
There's some bloody big balls there.
There's some very big balls. There's sense spheres. So anyway, we'll get on to some Doctor Who now, but I just thought, oh my God. Once I write it, oh yeah, we've had that one. Sorry, Adrian. Yep. I'm just trying to keep everybody in. Let's have a look. I got lost there a little bit with people. Yeah, Beeman, he does not care. It's about the money he gets from all this fake woke messaging. People are unhappy, and that's terrible. It's so terrible to be in this position. Fire RTD, fire Shooty, give it a break for at least 2 years and come back with a hard reboot. And you know what? I said what I said about resting it, and it may not come back, but I am warming. Remember, I am a Doctor Who fan. I'm warming to the idea of it having a hard reboot and starting again, and almost you park the old series as the old series. And let's face it, lots of Doctor Who fans are saying that. They're saying after 2017 doesn't count. So in a way, there's a lot of people saying that's preserved. So if you did come back with a series that almost started afresh in Totter's yard, would that be such sacrilege? I'm not saying do the first Doctor again. I don't think I could cope with that because I'm too precious about William Hartnell and Troughton. But you could just,
I think that's where I don't mind the Star Trek Strange New Worlds, where it kind of feels like a sort of a reboot of the classic in a way. I would be adverse to it. I'd just be scared as hell as what these guys would do to it. It's if they had access to it. Look, I'm happy if they if they just keep running it into the ground and then eventually they'll get sacked.
It's just I am one of those. I'm not obsessed about canon, but everything has to fit just about. I know that the half-human bit in the movie we've all obliterated, but you can't keep doing that to Flux, to Timeless Children, to By Generation, to everything. You can't. Tinkle, is that tickled by Bigsby has given you the answer? It's a skilt.
Skilled.
It's a skilt. Agent Sherlock, when you
As
saw
long as he's wearing duds underneath it.
yeah, well, when you saw Davison in cricket gear, he might have been gay or he might not. The mystery was important. Yeah, he's an actor, for God's sake. That was the point. So yes, I mean, and yes, Hartnell's goes. I'm Scottish. A kilt has a sporran. Exactement. Yeah, yeah. Brandon was distracted by the photo. Well, it was Cybermat actually who said it. Look at the size of the balls. I mean,
Yeah, look at the size of those, Doctor.
Anyway, we're talking about Doctor Who. It's my fault. It's my fault. My fault. Did you see this amazing news that actually us not we's who don't think Doctor Who's doing very well in America? Doctor Who wins outstanding achievement in family programming at the 40th TCA Awards in Pasadena. Julie Gardner was there to pick up the award. Thank you, and that's obviously from the Twitter.
I've never heard of those awards.
Well, exactly. There's awards for everything. Prince Harry picks up half the others. But let's be honest here. Family show. It always was a family show. It scared you, even with your mum and dad in the kitchen, and you just got on with life, and it built up resilience, I would argue. Now, is this a family show? You're assuming he as a pronoun. My chosen pronoun is a definite article, a star beast. We've all trodden on this path. Remember the arguments that you shouldn't be indoctrinating kids regarding trans. You know that, and actually, the new government here is not allowing conversion therapy or anything. So there's that one. Is this family viewing? And then you had, remember, sorry to do this to everybody, we're binary, male and female. She's not because the doctors are neither and more. You know that nonsense about you're not male, you're not female, you're more than that. Is this family viewing? We know everything, thanks, and you know nothing. It's a shame you're not a woman anymore, something a male presenting Time Lord will never understand. Hello, this is family viewing, is it? And I will continue. In family viewing, you tell untruths. You tell
What
children.
are you doing, Brendan? We're meant to be detoxing here.
Yeah.
Hang on a sec.
Yeah, well, this is let's tell them historical untruths. That's Isaac Newton. Right, okay, then let's just tell them fibs.
But he's hot, Brendan, so it's okay.
Well, he is hot. That's what he said in Wild Blue Yonder. And then you have a predatory man chasing people around in the bushes, and it's a family program. Right, there you go. So do you now understand why they won the family award in America, Cybermat?
Of course, yeah, makes total sense. I know, was it the Television's Critics Award? So it's not going to be the Television Viewers Awards, because that's what it's got, like 30% on Rotten Tomato or 15% or something.
Yeah.
So who cares what the critics think?
But it's interesting because sometimes the critics try and say something earnest and worthy, and then when they find out that there's a problem, they soon jump. And I've found that in 2 articles I'm going to use in the saloon that are kind of reflecting or using what Deadline article has said. And so suddenly the mainstream media press are suddenly starting to move away from saying, wasn't Doctor Who amazing? So Robbie Bonham here, it boils down to the fact I wouldn't recommend Who to anyone or introduce it to a new partner. At the moment,
why? Because you need to find a new partner.
Wayne Parsons, the cast report on Labour's cautious stance on trans issues must be a concern to RTD and by extension Disney. Yes. That is the problem. I've not wanted my stream to go heavy on this. I'm aware of it. Of course I am. I like to link it more to Doctor Who and the narrative, as I just have. But yes, I've read the cast reports. A lot of streams haven't. I've read all 366 pages, and it wasn't relevant to actually doing a stream on Doctor Who, but it did give 30 odd recommendations and warnings. Only a couple of them hit about the media. But yes, the cast report is very clear. Although, have you noticed they are starting to muddy it a bit? People are not necessarily wanting to follow everything. And Labour, who's only been in power for about 2 weeks, and we were all worried about because the Spanish government and loads of others, the Canadian government, they've all gone down a bit of this path, said they're not going to necessarily do the conversion therapy and everything. So, yeah. Okay, I don't want to do politics, but yes, it's very true, Wayne. What happens to the Doctor Who show, that show we love? It's now in the can. If it's anything like season 1, bits of dialogue that do all this, having a beautiful 15-year-old trans character, does that challenge the cast report? No. But if you start indoctrinating saying everything's easy and any 15-year-old can do what that character's doing, no, you can no, because it's not easy. And actually no kid is transitioning at 15. So therefore what you're saying is you just dress differently. That's all you're saying, are you? So yes, I think Doctor Who has stumbled in a minefield. Never mind boom, we've stumbled on it.
I feel sorry for Yasmin Finney and the character of Rose because it's like the character itself had potential, and if they hadn't loaded it up with that stupid resolution in Star Beast, it wouldn't have drawn the ire of fans. I think a lot of people, thought that there were aspects to the trans character's storyline that was done quite well, and then they load up with all this other stuff at the end, and it just was super cringe.
I mean, let's compare, everything properly. We've just done Invasion of the Dinosaurs, and we all said on the panel that Sarah Jane Smith was all over that like a rash. She was doing everything. She was a really, brilliant assistant. And, we were amazed that was only really her second story. So when you're talking about Rose Noble, she's had, and when I say she's had, RTD has had ample opportunity to make Rose Noble much more integral to the plot. Instead of giving her a tablet, and we've all joked about her not helping at the end there, and also she discovered Beep the Meep in the shed, but then after that, once she'd mentioned you've got to check its pronouns, she didn't do much. Yet she could have been like the companion. She could have been much more involved, but RTD decided not to. And what's horrible is he's made the trans character very tokenistic because, when everyone says, oh, you're beautiful, and you think, you're missing the point. I totally agree with you. He's underselling the actor and he's underselling the character, and therefore it's a waste. It's a bit like Chris Chibnall and the female Doctor, a waste. RTD and the first Black Doctor, it's a waste at the moment. It's not selling it, is it?
The irony is, I think if it was working, it'd be antithetical to the way they've signposted it, because the whole point would be that she just fits in and is part of the crew, and it's not sort of signposted. But they want it to be visible, and they want it to be seen, and they wanted it to be acknowledged, so they did what they did. And and then you get the intention is then opposite to the end goal.
But and Wayne is right to remind us of this while we're discussing this. We might feel bad about Yasmin Finney and what's going on regarding trans representation, but look what he says. The character of Rose is presented as capable of things male presenting doctors aren't. So it promotes women over men. That is an issue, and I fully agree with that. This is when you start to say indoctrination within a family show's narrative. I don't think that's award winning, and it's actually not brave. Because the echo chambers they're working in, everyone's just going to applaud that dialogue. Nobody's going to say, "Do we really need that in the show?" So
the mothers that I know rolled their eyes at that stuff and just went, "Oh, they don't want to see that stuff." They don't want to see boys or girls getting, sidelined.
The worst thing is a lot of kids, 15 upwards. I know I say kids. Sorry, have rolled their eyes at this. And they're beyond this. This is not nuanced TV. This is just subtle as a brick. Hartnell's Ghost, Brendan, talking of predatory, you can argue 30-something Gatwa stalking an 18-year-old in opening church episode. Hartnell's Ghost, all the way back to our stream called Sex in the TARDIS. Me, Hugh, John Daly, we've all argued the toss that you've got to, apparently, narratively, the Doctor is over 1,000 years old. And safeguarding wise, it does look a little bit weird that he's always asking a 19-year-old girl into the TARDIS. Do you want to come with me? Now, we're not killjoys, but what's happened is RTD is the killjoy. And so I'm just kind of, reflecting what he does to us. RTD's a killjoy saying Davros can no longer be in a wheelchair. He's a killjoy. He's a killjoy saying the sonic screwdriver has to be changed because it looks too much like a weapon that would assassinate somebody in America. Oh, get over yourself. He's the killjoy. And as you know, in one of my saloons, I said he's the new Mary Whitehouse. He's the killjoy. He's the nanny state. So actually, I'm allowed, am I, as a fan, to just play the same logic back to him and say, look, if you really are bothered about all these emotional, sexual, gender issues, a 1,000-year-old man or woman inviting a 19-year-old human with less intellect into the TARDIS looks a bit dodgy. So yes, I know what you mean, totally. But he's making us think like that, Cybermat. Why did he please? Why have we gone there? No sex in the TARDIS, no relationships. Let's just do lovely escapism, lovely adventure, and get on with it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think you're right to say the kids are ahead of this stuff anyway, and they are rolling their eyes at it, and and they're seeing this stuff play out at the moment in the system. So, and indoctrinating them is not going to work.
Well, we've got interesting ones here. BinTube says, Rose was the wisest one because she knew it was useless fighting Sutex, so did some last-minute browsing. Yeah. She thought, do you know what? I can get some sales here because if the world's ending, surely the prices tank on eBay. And sometimes on eBay, you have to auction, and suddenly you're going, I can get that character options, that... I can get Magnus Greel dead cheap. I can get that Resurrection of the Daleks full set for about £5. Way, yeah. Actually, it's a good point, BinTube. I should have done that.
Oh, look, there's a discount on Pyramids of Mars.
Yeah, go for it. Hartnell's Ghost in Star Beast. The Jason Rose character cannot be more than 13, 14, given that Donna was not noticeably pregnant when we last saw her on screen at her wedding. Even if she's 15, though. 15 still goes into cast report dangerous territory and breaks the rules with our Tavistock and everything now. Adrian Sherlock, if Batman came out as gay, would Batman fandom be happy or think it's out of character?
I thought Batman is gay now.
Oh, God. You see, if I'm in danger, you see, Adrian, if I go into different franchises where, I watch them, but I'm not an expert on them. Batman, did he ever have a girlfriend in any of the stories, or did he just
isn't Catwoman his girlfriend?
It was very sexual in the movie I saw. Was it Michelle Pfeiffer?
I know. I watched a lot of the Batman, the 60s Batman with Adam West, and
yeah. Well, the 90s, was it 90s? I can't remember. There was a good song from Susie and the Banshees, and you had rubber clad Michelle Pfeiffer, and I think that was a tester for any Batman. Was he straight or not in that moment? Sir Contendon, sexism is bad, but misandry is applauded. I know. I've been arguing that in schools for ages, that this isn't a fair fight at all. And this is when it's not a family program. This is when, please, 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 stop infiltrating it with this stuff. Then me and Cybermat can talk about stories and villains and monsters and stuff like that and not get bogged down in this. The trouble is, this is Doctor Who now. I mean, we can't deny it, can we?
Well, we could counter it. We could do your the stream on the phallic Doctor Who objects that you guys were talking about this morning.
Oh yes, the creature from the pit. I'll mention that a bit later on. Don't you worry, because we need a laugh, don't we? BinTube. Also, he thinks he'll only bring grief if he meets his own granddaughter. Yet has no problem dragging along this random 19-year-old in danger all the time. I know. We said this, didn't we, with Graham when he might have had cancer, and the 13th Doctor kind of didn't know how to talk to him. Now, in a way, that is typical Doctor of old, which is the Doctor didn't get bogged down in that. Pyramids of Mars is the best one to mention, isn't it? Where the Doctor, there's a dead body there, and Sarah's going, sometimes you're not human. And yeah, so the Doctor's always come across cold accidentally because he's got the bigger picture. And so in a way, the Jodie Doctors allowed that, I think, with the Graham saying he's got cancer. However, the trouble is Chibnall and RTD are trying to make these Doctors very different, and they weren't. Awkward love triangle with Rose and Mickey was cringe too. Oh, I got sick of all that. I really did. It's not me. I need spaceships. I need lasers. I need running up and down corridors. You know. Yeah, exactly, Robbie. You've taken the words out of my mouth. An eccentric man milling around a country mansion, stopping invasions. And can I add to that, Robbie and Cybermat? You don't land and showboat and announce to the world you've arrived. How many Doctor Who adventures did the Doctor sneak into the adventure? You know, he didn't kind of go, hello, everybody, here, I am here. There's only a couple of times I can think of when he actually went the opposite way.
I love that moment in Day of the Daleks where, the show took time to do things like that. The cheese and the gorgonzola and the red wine. And it's like, how cool is that? You just don't see that in the current show.
Actually, when you do watch a lot of classic Who, you find that the John Pertwee Doctor ate a lot.
Yeah.
He was always eating. He was always So anyway, is this good news then, Cybermat Strikes? Here's some good news for you. I'm trying my best. I can only do
what? Was it Mandip Gill and Jodie Whittaker? So every time I see them out of character, they come across as really warm and bubbly and friendly, and then when they go into character as Yaz and the Doctor, they kind of are all cold and like they're carved out of something hard and nasty, and you're just like, why did they do that? You've got two lovely people there in real life, and then you put them in the show as the character, and then they go all sort of plank. Just a bit weird.
I think that's a good observation, and I'm going to ask the thread. I can spend 1 minute on this or more. I don't buy Big Finish. I think Cybermat is the same. So we obviously wouldn't buy this anyway, and obviously because it's the 13th Doctor, which didn't appeal on TV, and I've never watched the episodes again, I won't be buying it. I have got one or two big finishes. I mean, the famous ones, Zagreus. I did for a couple of reasons buy a Cyberman one with Peter Davison. The Blood of the Daleks, is it called as well? I have got a few, but and there's nothing wrong with how they're made. But I obviously don't like the politics of what's going on now there either. And James Dreyfus and all that stuff. So I'm not interested, I'll be honest with you. But is anybody in the thread into Big Finish and into this, or into Big Finish but not this? Or, you know, where do you stand? Because obviously I do want to reflect fandom, and just because I don't buy it doesn't mean anything. The 13th Sorry, I just want to say you were being insightful then. It is true. I have no problem with Jodie Whittaker as an actress, and I don't have any problem with Mandip Gill. I agree with you, though, that on telly, they thought there was a dynamic they were showing us, that some thought there was even more there. I didn't see anything. Very cold. Yes, I agree with you.
Well, yeah, and look, I have had moments where I thought, I should get into that Big Finish, but I'm someone who likes physical media, and then when I got it sort of poked around, I realized now I've missed the boat. You can't get your hands on sort of the physical media, and I kind of feel like, well, can't they package it up in some way so you can order a big bulk super duper physical media pack or something if you want to catch up? I don't know how big the collection is, but I'm the sort of person that doesn't want to start unless they're going to be able to get their hands on the whole lot.
Yeah, and can I bring up Raymond Williams' point? Thanks for your text last night, celebrating 1,000 subscribers, and thanks for being on the journey with us. But Raymond Williams has kids, and you've mentioned, I think it's your daughter, so I'll be intrigued whether they've rolled their eyes at the Star Beast pronoun saga that we've mentioned. But Raymond Williams says here, and this is my problem, that we were saying before we started the show today, whether we watch Big Finish or not, listen to it, that some fans are making what is in Big Finish saying it's canon. And that is a problem. You can go and enjoy Big Finish. I've got no problem with that, because in the wilderness years, you needed stuff like this. And it's fans making stuff for fans. No problem at all. And if you've got the money to spare, you go for it. But this is when some fans are saying, I've listened to all the Big Finish, and this is canon, and I'm imposing this on you. You only watch the TV show. No. It's called fan fiction. Fan fiction does loads of things that aren't in the mainstream show. And as Raymond Williams says, no doubt this will be the opportunity to make Thasmin a reality. And this, I'm sorry, that was my first suspicion, that in all of their adventures, they're going to do this. I mean, in the show, they were sat on the TARDIS having an ice cream with Mandip Gill looking longingly at the Doctor going, are we going to have a snog? They fell into a bed at one point, didn't they? In Flux.
Yeah, into the mattress. They had a mattress in the TARDIS.
So some would say, well, it's already in the mainstream program. You've had two women in a bed. You've had two women sharing an ice cream on the TARDIS roof. They've already been romantic. Let's do the adventures when you didn't see on the TV, when actually before they dealt with the Sea Devils, they were having a little fling in the Seychelles. Suddenly you're going, oh, no. And then that becomes canon. And then you're going, and then in about 10 years' time, you get some fans saying, Doctor Who's always been gay. She was gay in this. And you're going, oh, no. And canon from Big Finish starts to rewrite all the TV show, because some fans do that.
Yeah, well, I mean, when I was growing up, there was a lot of people that used to say that Doctor Who was gay in the 80s, full stop, like just the whole show, not the character or anything.
Yeah. I mean, Sir Huntington's right. I mean, again, I've got no problem, but is there an audience for this? I wasn't quite sure if as somebody said up here, I say somebody because I was just finding it. R.I.P. Big Finish.
Well, they're gonna find out, I guess.
They're going to find out. Are they running out of stories? You see, the whole point is, one of the Chris Eccleston stopped doing them now for a while, hasn't he? So they're running out of doctors. They need new material. It's like RTD coming back for the second time. He's got no new ideas, so he needs to drag somebody in. Sutek. Bland. Such a boring pair of characters. No interest in their further adventures. And then it'll become canon, Cameron. Jodie's costume was the worst ever. That was my issue, If you're going to do a female doctor, you've apparently done it for the right reasons, Chris Chibnall. But you made her look as though she was androgynous. She wasn't feminine, was she?
Yeah, I actually thought she looked the best. She looked was in Capaldi's costume in The Woman Who Fell to Earth. I thought they should have dressed her up in that, left her in that. She looked like the Doctor in that getup.
I think you're right. And then let's be fair. As Ken Parker says, I bet both would improve in Big Finish, just like Mel. And that's very possible. That is very possible.
Because the fans will flesh out the things that, they might find interesting. But, I can't say that I'm super interested.
No. Troy, he's got the 6 Doctor audios. Yeah. He's good. Colin Baker's good. I've heard a few Peter Davison's, and like I said, I dare say Paul McGann's voice would be good on audio, but I haven't got any of his. Peter Harrington says he stopped. Yes, I think this has been the other argument. There's too many Big Finish titles. Also, the box sets, like you were saying, where do you start? Where do you finish? Give me a timeline. Talons of Wayne Cheyenne. Hiya. Tried Big Finish. It's not for me. I prefer. Yeah. I'm just going to say yes to everything he's just said then. Let's have a look. Julianne, hello. I buy Big Finish, and because I want to hear Jodie, who was great in Broadchurch, agreed, and Series 2 of Time, yeah. So we'll give these stories a listen, different writers and directors. And yes, Julianne, I'm being fair here. Where do you stand, Julianne, though? If the stories are good, that's great. You'll have enjoyed them. But is
Mm.
what happens in them, does that become canon? That's just my little argument there, you know.
Well, Julianne she should come back and tell us what she thinks of it when
Yeah,
she
come on,
listens
come
to
and
it.
tell us.
Yeah,
You won't.
yeah.
We won't scoff. We won't do that. I'm intrigued. I am actually genuinely intrigued. It's just I'm not going to pay for them. That's all. I do
No, I love
apologize.
it when other people get stuff out of it. I mean, I just because I don't get something out of it doesn't mean I don't want other people to enjoy it.
Well, good to see Lee Anthony Davis. He's so polite. He always apologizes when he's got to leave and everything, as if
See you, Lee.
it's like I'm a teacher and I've got to register. I want to know everybody.
Did he give you a note?
It reminds me when I was teaching remotely, and the kids had to sign in, as you can guess, for a lesson, and they signed in and then went back to bed, and I'm teaching to myself. And it's only when you ask them a question that they have a panic attack and then say their mic was bust. Every kid's mic was bust during lockdown. COVID affected people's lungs, but it also affected kids' mics. It was amazing. It was a terrible disease, you know. Yeah, techno plague.
USB disease.
Yeah, it was a space plague. Bin tube. The doctor snogging anyone under 1,000 should be considered grooming. I'd love to see a 1,000-year-old woman he meets. I mean,
no one wants to see that.
Oh, the doctor snogging the face of Bo. There you go. Because the face of Bo looked old. Oh, you know that Harridan, that old witch in the Sisters of Khan? Yeah. So the doctor, yeah, well, he's already been there. I mean, they've made her younger now in The Night of the Doctor. Let's go back to the original Maren, and the doctor has a snog with her.
Mrs. Robinson accent.
With her bristles.
No.
Yeah, that'd be great, Doctor Who. I tell you what, do you think the ratings would go up then?
Oh. That'll be the end of it.
More grannies would start watching, but would fulfill their fantasies seeing, you know, doctors like Paul McGann and Chris Eccleston and Matt Smith snogging old women. Good boy. The stories are all right, but just meeting the guy who runs it turned me off. I'm intrigued. I've never met him. Are you talking about Briggs? Nick Briggs. I'm just thinking because I saw him at Lonleat. My only name drop I can do is going to Lonleat in 1983, and he was stood to
Or
the
is it
side.
Jason Hay Gallery? Is that, or is that?
It might be. I don't. You see, yeah. Bringing the missing episodes are either the failed scripts were nice, especially the Sixth Doctor. Yeah. Well, there was a good reason there, wasn't there, Peter? We all wanted to know what that season kind of tasted like. Did you buy the books as well? You know, the Missing Adventures. You know that season, the Nightmare Fair was it called?
Yeah.
At Blackpool. Yeah. That moment in Revelation when he goes, "All right, I'll take you to."
I'll take you to.
Yeah, I know. Adrian Michael Grade. Adrian Sherlock. If Hartnell had played a gay doctor in 63, I'd expect the doc to be gay now. Is it so unreasonable to want a consistent character? No. This is the argument with James Bond as a brand, isn't it? Are they going to... I'm not going to do the race thing. If they pick, you know, a black actor, whatever. But if they, you know, the Jane Bond idea, if they decided to make him very... gay or gender fluid, that would be ridiculous. And it's the same with Doctor Who. He's asexual, really.
Yeah, I prefer asexual Doctor.
Well, yeah, let's not get bogged down in soap opera stuff. Helen Mirren was once the girlfriend of Christopher H. Bidmead. She was the inspiration.
Really?
She was the inspiration for the Logopolitans.
Wow. Lucky Bidmead.
She had a bad hair day, and suddenly he devised these Logopolitans with their little abacuses. Peter Harrington, I enjoyed the Dalek Empire. I know I see them, and I'm always intrigued. Gallifrey, I don't know. I love Paddy Kinson's music. Got to see the Radio Workshop here in Dublin a few years ago. Yeah. Up for all that. They were good at Lonleat as well when I saw them in the marquee. Doctor Who has always worked for people who are excluded. Queer people have been an important subset, but with RTD, it's only about that subset excluding others. Yeah, and I don't like the phrase either. You know, all this about we're taking ownership of it. No, it's gay, isn't it?
It's true though. Like I've been to a few conventions and stuff here in Sydney, and you'd have to say there's a high proport. Like if I went that way, you'd pick up at a Doctor Who convention.
Yeah.
There's a high probability of people with those backgrounds.
I never went. I never went to many conventions, actually. I went with my dad when I was 13, 14 to Longleat, 83. Obviously, with your dad. And he's
That's
a hardly,
that was a family affair though,
yeah,
wasn't
and
it?
it's hardly
Yeah.
chaperoning me. At 13, I didn't think
Yeah.
I was capable of anything of the scale of Creature from the Pit. But Paul Richards, J&T was right to keep Hanky Panky out of the TARDIS. He said it's a family show, but RTD wants to push his agendas. Paul Richards, isn't it fascinating? You know all the nonsense about J&T. You know how his name's been through the gutter with certain, you know the score. And isn't it fascinating that J&T actually kept, in many ways, the standard? He didn't fawn to whatever he was. He didn't fawn to that. He was Mr. Showbiz. But you always knew
the wider audience was the important.
But didn't you always think, Cybermat, that J&T, whatever he was doing, whether you liked the Ken Dodd or whatever, the stunt casting, he was doing it to keep the show on the telly?
Yep. He was everything he was doing was about trying to get a bigger audience, which is exactly what you should be doing.
Without compromising the show. So, X-Man, good to see you. You saying good morning. I'm assuming America. Please tell us where you are. I'm always intrigued. I haven't been to America. I'm hoping to go there in September. Robbie, Modern Who is like J&T giving the Doctor a Hawaiian shirt. yeah, exactly. And I actually do think in some of the RTD scripting, he's almost making the Doctor now a projection of himself. And this has gone for a while now. You know, the Messiah complex. David Tennant in season 3, when he flew through the air because everybody had been texting him or thinking about him as if he was a god.
I didn't like that.
Season 4, I love Stolen Earth. It is so dramatic, of course, is the payback enough. But when they all start texting, I don't know. It's too twee. I don't like that. The human race would all... Nah, honestly. Paul Richards, fans tell me it's all about change. And actually, how many articles does Shooty and RTD say it's all about change and regeneration? I love that word. They've ambushed it. But the Doctor never changed to the extent of turning him into a horny character like Gatwa. Oh, you don't want season 2. I mean, hello, big boy. It'll be Rogue 2. Hello. And maybe... Can you imagine if he nicks Ruby Sunday's boyfriend? I mean, how's that going to work in the TARDIS?
Maybe that's why she disappears, because she kicks the Doctor out.
There'll be a fight over the Duke. I tell you what, if Coffee going into the TARDIS in Starbeast caused all that chaos in Wild Blue Yonder, if there's a fight between Ruby Sunday over her boyfriend, I think Coffee stains on the TARDIS will be the least of it.
Yeah, well, you better not get lube on the console. That would bugger it up real bad.
Well, I wouldn't mind, if we started to see a TARDIS room. They have not used that TARDIS much at all, have they? It's a waste of money, actually.
I don't think I don't know that you get this. Like I feel like the old TARDISes felt the same scale anyway. They just took up less space in reality.
Did you see the other day? I'll put it in one of my streams. I forgot to put it in today. Did you see the photograph of the design of roughly what it is now, but it's got another layer below where it's got a glass bottom and you can see space?
Is there?
There was a design that they obviously thought was too costly or they couldn't be bothered. But basically, it's a similar design. You've got ramps and everything. Just think of where the jukebox is and that platform. And then, some of the ramps go downwards. And below, there's a circular glass kind of panel, which is almost like Millennium Falcon. You've got the glass with a gun looking at.
Yeah.
It looks fab. And it looks darker. Anyway. They didn't.
Look, I personally like the steampunk sort of look of the 96 one. I think at the time I remember being a bit miffed that they'd gone away from the classic look, but I think with the last 60 years now past, I look back and go, yeah, that 96 TARDIS was really nice.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I'm telling myself off for not getting the photograph. I could have shown you it. I'll still try and get it in a minute. I'll let you talk for a minute, and I might try and get it for this second, because if I can show everybody in a moment. To put it simply, says good boy, Gatwa is playing himself instead of playing the Doctor. You've got RTD writing stories for himself, and you've possibly got Gatwa showing more of him than a Doctor. And I know every Doctor brought their character. Let's be honest, John Pertwee was flamboyant too. Tom Baker is like very enigmatic and charismatic. Yeah. So I know there's a bit of that. To be fair, there is an element where you never went for a certain type of actor for Doctor Who. You went for a character actor or a very interesting character anyway who could act. But can you give us a few moments of thought there? And I'm going to try and find this photograph dead fast, so of the TARDIS. All right.
Yeah. Well, look, from my perspective, I think I've seen the criticism that there's too much of Eric Effionga from Sex Education in the Doctor, but I don't know. I think there is a difference, but I do think his characterization of the Doctor's less consistent, and there are times where I think he's strong, and then I think there are times where, you know, it's just not landing consistently. I think so.
It's just that we said about the Doctor Light episodes 2 in a row. He's been sold a bit of a dud, I'll be honest with you. Then you add whether he's bringing much to it as well. It's a complicated one, isn't it, really? I think that the actor needs to do more, and I think the scripts need to do more, and I think the two together have combined to make it quite a lame season.
Yeah. There's clearly compromised on his availability. And I do worry that even if they've agreed to let him go off and do something, and it's going to break the momentum between, say, season 2 and 3, that's going to have detrimental effects to the show, I think, in the long run.
Yeah. Well, I can't find it at the moment, and I won't dilly dally, but I'll show everybody very soon. Yeah, it's a nice design. Shout out to the East Coast USA. Chicago, says X-Man. Do you know, I'd love to see Chicago. I'm hoping to go to Toronto. I know that's Canada. Toronto, New York, Boston, New England, although it'll cost a bomb. Maybe pop into Detroit as a little trip. Oh my God. Yeah, Chicago. SG, I went to Panopticon 93 in Manchester, and we bumped into the lady who worked the Lonleat Doctor Who shop, was also there. I'll tell you what, and you had pocket money, did you? Because these are the moments you need a lot of pocket money. I remember wanting to spend a bomb and asking my dad for more money when I was in the merchandise tent at Lonleat 83. It's so frustrating, isn't it? You want to kind of buy everything that you wouldn't normally see elsewhere.
Hey, can I show you something that I bought at I was about 21, and I'd seen this Doctor Who toy since I was a kid, and I wanted this thing, and like it was so expensive back in the day.
You get
you
get that. I'm gonna say to Dead Man, you were a Doctor Insider. I've got no contacts. Will you promise? Will you send me a DM on Twitter, or will you on sensorsphere@gmail.com send us a little email and we'll get chatting? I'm just intrigued, and I'm always wanting to get interesting people on. If you have a think, Dead Man, please go on then. You show us what you've got there, and I'll go big screen for you.
It's not in the best shape, but this, I don't know if this is the Dapol set from the 80s with the classic TARDIS, which, you know, there's typical Dapol models. There's problems all over the shop, like the TARDIS has got the wrong number of sides. But there's a Mel, and
Yeah.
Seventh Doctor and a massive green K9 for some reason.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
But
Wow.
it actually, I got it working at Christmas time. It makes one hell of a noise when the actual center console goes up and down.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh
it's
my God.
but man, that it's mostly styrofoam, but it cost a bomb back in the day. I think
Yeah.
they're worth quite a bit of money now.
Well, some of these things, I mean, I've got the Death Star, which is all cardboard, but you know, from the 70s, and you could, for Christmas, I had that, and you had the garbage chute thing, and you just moved the cardboard round, but oh, it had layers. It was basically a cardboard doll's house for Star Wars freaks. I love it. I've got it in the loft now, and it is still preserved. Unlike when Caroline Ford said at Dwas that she had on the top of her cupboard. You heard that story, didn't you, about the Dalek City?
Yeah,
And the cleaner accidentally knocked
and
it and wrecked it.
I know.
So yes, I've got the cardboard Death Star. I've got the AT-AT, and it's the lights still work and the guns still work. In fact, I've got most of the
Wow.
Star Wars figures shoved inside there. To have the play sets is fab. Did anyone have those Matchbox ones, the container port, the Seakin Harbour? There was a Goodyard one. I've got them all in the loft, all pristine. Absolutely loved them as a kid. Mind you, when our dad was building extensions in the back garden, all we needed was a pile of sand. I would plonk my TARDIS, you know, the 70s TARDIS, the Dennis Fisher one, put that on it. And then I'm somewhere else. Get the Doctor figure. Never had Leela because that's a doll. Isn't it funny? But yeah,
My wife used to work at ABC Shop, and they had the big life-size K9s back when season 2 came out.
yeah.
And like it was fully functional, but apparently like they had so many of them returned because of quality problems with them. But I just regret so much not grabbing one of those. I can't even believe today that I just didn't, because I had direct access to them.
It's hard. It's hard. I mean, there's all these missed opportunities. It's interesting that somebody else has got the Death Star. I bet there's not many of us, Wayne, who've got a Death Star. You know, it is absolutely. It's that strong, hard cardboard. You know, yeah. Space 1999 Eagle One. Did you have that? I had that. Was that Corgi or Dinky? I remember that. Yeah, loved that. It's a bit scratched now because we had to have a card box. It was mum and dad's idea, and we'd shove it all in the box. All the paint's getting chipped off. But I love the fact that I don't know what you call that cargo bit in the middle that you reject it. Did anyone have the Star Trek Enterprise where you fired yellow discs out? I loved that. That was fab. The Star Trek Enterprise. It was lethal, actually. It really fired yellow discs quite a way. You weren't
Nice.
allowed to take it to school on the games day. So yeah, Space 1990. Oh, I know. You know, wasn't it good being a kid at one point? No pronoun rubbish. Just enjoyed yourself. Now I'm going to
Back
ask
in the
you.
day, everyone had the same toys, kind of thing.
Now, this Doctor Who is the gift that keeps giving. And I don't care whether I did it last night. The point is, we're all different. What would you be saying off the top of your head are your best and worst SFX in Doctor Who? Because after the show thread, I'm giving him thinking time now. There was more. I thought, oh, God, I didn't mention that. I didn't mention that. This could go on. It's real good fun. And as we all agree, you don't really need good effects in Doctor Who. You just need a good story. We all bought into the fact. I love Invasion of the Dalek, of the dinosaurs. I don't need the dinosaurs to be any better than the Chewits monster. So, any little thoughts you've got that come to mind?
Look, I still remember. I know it's a story that cops quite a bit of heat, but the effects that they had with that Andrew Morgan did with the spinning discs and the bubble for Mel, where she bounced.
Yes,
Bounced, and they had the explosions timed across the quarry I remember at the time thinking, wow, that's incredible. Seeing it as a kid, and then it was quickly sort of undermined by the fact they had those green pixelated bees.
Yes,
in the pleasure dome.
it was good, and Crimpline. We mentioned the Drashigs last night, and that's why they did Invasion of the Dinosaurs, wasn't it? Crimpline. That poor Barry Letts thought we'll get the BBC visual effects to do. I mean, it was a hand puppet. I think it was a fox's skull, and they crafted it so well. The trouble was, they outsourced it, didn't they? And I feel sorry for the company. It went bankrupt, didn't it? But
Well, someone said in the, someone asked the question, I think in your show around Invasion of the Dinosaurs.
yeah,
What if it was black and white? Well, I'm pretty sure in Australia, the one that we had rerunning all the time was a black and white film print, because
yeah.
we didn't have color here until 75. So the ABC's one was a black and white film print. So it actually looks a lot better in the black and white.
Yes, I mean, I remember Day of the Daleks in black and white. I remember Invasion of the Daleks. I keep saying Daleks. Invasion of the Dinosaurs in black and white. I remember Robot in color. So something happened at that point. My dad worked for Red Diffusion, so basically he would try and get us a color telly as soon as possible. But now let's bring up. We've been around the houses a bit with Doctor Who today, but Paul Richards, the visual effects in Photo Doomsday are pretty good. I loved that mono camera thing that was always following them around. I thought the set looked really good, but the cricket ball spacewalk. Yeah, I never bought into that. It was the cartoon of the little cricket ball, and I was never sure of the trajectory. I mean, it was ambitious. I wasn't sure about that, Paul. Rain, one of my midweek shows, I think it was the second one we did. I'm trying to remember what it was. Anyone remember the Weetabix Doctor Who figures? We talked about them. I remember them. It was around 75, 76, because or even a bit earlier, because I was 6. So it was a bit earlier. And I remember going to school and you had them. And because you were 6, as long as you did a little bit of diary and a bit of this, remember school wasn't easy, and you did a bit of stuff and then you can play. And then you brought your Doctor Who cardboard in and just moved them around. Yeah, I do remember that. Peter Harrington calls them the dish rags. Don't you like them? Or are you just taking the mick? End of the World had implausibly bad effects. I'm trying to remember, Dead Man, what you're referring to. And was it a volcano thing? I'm trying to remember. When your head goes a bit. The Slither in the Dalek Invasion of Earth. Yes. Yes.
The bag.
I mean, look at this. I didn't even have the Action Man tank, but I knew that was an Action Man tank. I'd seen it. I'd seen it.
I love that. A whole bunch of my mates, schoolmates back in the day, we watched that on VHS, and I still remember that we were rolling around on the floor laughing at this particular part of the story. But there's so much charm about the end of Robot that you just don't care.
Well, the story was, I mean, let's be honest, whatever the
King
model
Kong
effects,
ripoff.
Yeah, forget the model effects or anything. As a kid, I was bought into the fact that Sarah Jane Smith felt sorry for the robot. And that relationship carried me through that story, because it was scary when it was on the on the prowl, when you had that viewpoint of that it wasn't pixelated, it was just that strange robot viewpoint. And but when she talked to it, and it was so tall compared to her, and it seemed to have a soft spot for her. I know it was King Kong, yeah, but I loved all that. And actually, as a kid, that carried me through. Yes, you saw a plastic tank and you heard a tank noise. And then you had the doll, where even to me, I knew that was a doll because her legs really flailed around. I know.
You feel like she's dead there because it's just crushed her. That's a great shot, that one.
Now, Destiny of the Daleks had those walking Daleks across the quarry, but then the next episode, it started with this.
Would this have been a Matt Irvine, or is that too early for him?
No, it's not too early, because he was all the way back to Planet of the Spiders.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, these model shots, I reckon, they're so iconic now too.
Yes.
That's the other thing.
top notch. Frontier in Space had lots of lovely spaceships. I know they did that speed effect of stars going past them. Paul Richards, The Trial of a Time Lord. But as you know, Paul, you had that amazing opening sequence and the turn, and then suddenly you landed in a BBC studio with yeah, and then it went downhill.
Sagacity.
Yeah. Dead Man, the cricket ball defied physics. Yeah. But we can buy into things in Doctor Who. I didn't think it worked visually to carry it off. Let's see what else we've got.
But the ambition of the story, I mean, think about it. The producer, the writer, and the producer sit down and go, okay, we're going to have a giant robot. We're going to have tanks. We're going to have guys, soldiers with bazookas. And you're thinking, this is like a children's TV program. The ambition is huge.
Yep. And there you go. I mean, we were having a hell of a laugh last night about this. I mean, but I have to say, it's one of my go-to stories. I like the comedy in it. It's not killer comedy. I like Lady Adrasta in it. I like the Wolf Reeds and Poor Little Canine. I always did question slightly, when Tom Baker's doctor fell in, well, he jumped into the mine shaft and into the pit. And when he was at the start of episode 2 and he's chipping into the rock and he's how to climb Mount Everest. And there were joke lines, weren't there? I was never quite totally on all that stuff. But yes, I don't mind a bit of comedy. This, I thought, was okay. And I was buying into it. And all these pesky adults are reading too much into the phallic stuff. But yes, when he was blowing into it at the end, I mean, but
and Catweasel.
But this is what Doctor Who does well in many ways. I mean, the script says you've got an enormous mountain of a green blob, but it would have just looked like a balloon if you didn't have some protuberance or something. It's
but you can't tell me that there weren't people like if I was working in the design team, like you'd be totally like, hey, let's do this. This would be good for a laugh.
Well, some people have 5 fingers or 4 fingers and a thumb. Some people have Sontarans. It's normally 2, isn't it? 2 or 3, and
3.
And here we just have 1 finger. But I know. But you see, this is the charm of Doctor Who. We were saying last night. We laugh about the effects, but it doesn't turn us off.
At least they turn the lighting down in this.
Exactly. And I liked the astrologer part as well. I liked him, Jeffrey Beelden, wasn't it? Yeah, I loved all that. Robots going down well in the thread. They're all having lovely reminiscences about that. So X-Men's talking about the City of Death, going to Paris, that beautiful Dudley Simpson music. Robot was the first episode aired on American PBS in 1978, so 4 years later. I was watching it that night. I went on to see an obscene amount of Doctor Who in the years that followed. That was my year when I was backpacking in Australia. I've mentioned it earlier that, oh gosh, when I had a pen pal, I was supposed to be discovering Australia. And in the middle of the day when it's 44 degrees, he's going, I've got Carnival of Monsters. I've got Colony in Space. I've got this, all the Australian back catalogue. Well, I was a true Doctor Who fan. Do I want to discover Australia or do I just want to watch old Doctor Who? And Doctor Who.
Well, 44 degrees, I can tell you I'd be in front of that TV quick smart.
Yeah, that was Perth, January 1990.
Well, see, that's why when you guys say, "Oh, the weather, it's summer and it's middle of summer and people aren't in front of the TV," we're sitting here going, "Man, if it's the middle of summer here, we're totally in front of the TV in the aircon."
Yeah. So tomorrow's show has RTD regenerated? Deadman, please get back to me. I know you're saying bye. Give us a DM, please. Has RTD regenerated or degenerated Doctor Who? There's the Deadline article, and I'm getting a few other pieces together, and I'll do my little vlog essay, as you all know, on the Friday. And yes, that laser beam seems to be firing in a really dodgy place. It's shocking, isn't it, these creatives? So the Sensesphere Saloon tomorrow, please join for that. People seem to enjoy my last Friday one, so please join for that. Let's have a look. Take that back off.
People enjoying the chat.
Oh, I know. The detox seems to work for me. I hope the thread feels the same because we just seem to just talk around things. Hartnell's Ghost is talking to you, Cybermat Strikes. You are so right about that ambition. You can imagine J&T getting the robot script and thinking, how can I realise all that with my BBC budget? To toy shop to buy an Action Man tank. You see Hartnell's Ghost, as I said last night, what did Tom Baker do with Chris Boucher's script with Leela? Here's a box. Here's a box. This is bigger than this. No, it's not. And you can see what they were thinking. And we've all done it as kids. We used to play Star Trek in the playground where we had a tree where they chopped a branch. So it was like a dial. And I don't know. Am I mad? We used to do, you know, when you did that I'm using a Doctor Who concept. What is it? You beam people onto a planet.
Beam me up.
Yeah. And so to get the friends of you in front of you from there to there, you had to kind of slowly do a sound effect. And we all slowly squinted our eyes. And then the people would run over there and then you'd guess. And then you'd go, never. We would do all that. So, yes, I know, you know, we all play the games and some of them actually can turn into effects. Maybe not that one. Gareth Morgan, he's obsessed with this appendage. You need to get therapy. I thought that when the doctor blew into that appendage on Creature in the Pit, I took it to be an auditory or respiratory appendage. Gareth, I was brought up as a little Catholic boy and they glued all our contraception pages together. So I was also in the dark. I thought it was all right because I didn't think my
will just waiting for something to blow back at him.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't sat there in my little undies thinking, oh, that looks like me. No. I think if that looks like an appendage of any male around, go and see a doctor.
It's a bit ambiguous because there's no balls there. So.
Yeah, exactly. There's no sense for you. I remember the first UK satellite channel, Super Channel, playing Robot to Dead. Oh, I know. You know, in the years before we had the video, and you suddenly say, "Oh my god!" And the trouble is, sometimes they never announce stuff, and you suddenly saw it had already started, and it's like, oh. Well, lovely from Tickled by Bigsby. Love the detox.
Hey, Tickled.
Yeah, thank you for that. And so I've got to say again, just before we do totally wrap, is thank you everybody who has subscribed over the last 219 days. It has only been 219 days since I did the Giggle review live and panicked and had a lovely tunnel sequence and then was drinking a cup of tea in the corner and I forgot I was on. You know, all that chaos. But if you haven't subscribed, but you've been enjoying watching us, we're trying our best. We're all amateurs. None of us are experts. None of us know anybody in the BBC or Disney. We're not pretending to be anything more important than just normal, standard Doctor Who fans with skin in the game. So please give us a subscription. That would be very nice of you. Have you got anything else on your thoughts, Cybermat, before we wrap?
Oh no, I'm glad people are enjoying it. I love getting this time of the week to just chill and talk Doctor Who with you. So and really enjoy the comments from everyone. So
yeah, and the other thing I do is I know that Type 40 is on tonight, and I respect and I really like Type 40. So Type 40 is 8 o'clock British time on Thursday. I go nowhere near it. We do our version. More to the Aussies and Americans so that we get more swaying. I actually like this slot because I think it respects other fans out there. Because I know, Cybermat, you will watch Dan Hadley in Type 40, but it's funny hours, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm up early to watch them. And if I don't catch it live, I always listen, like on the replay while I commute to work or something like that. But you know, most of you guys will see me out in the chats in other streams as well. So
yeah. I just want to show you. I said it was 219 days. I retired last year as a teacher. This time last year, a year ago today, this is where I was. I was on a drip in hospital suffering from sepsis, and so I retired from school not at school, no farewell, no nothing. I was in hospital for weeks with sepsis. And so a year ago today, that's where I was. And now to think 219 days from December, I've got this little channel, a community. We're all having fun and making friends, and I'm loving all this. I know you are, Cybermat, with all the connections we're making. And it's amazing sometimes to go, that was a year ago today. I was on a blooming drip and the cannula wasn't working. And I didn't know how long I was going to be, because you never know with sepsis whether you're going to come out at all. Isn't it weird? Absolutely weird. I like to say regarding Sensphere, which is sense of perspective, sense of humor, common sense. You know, we've got to do that. It's a TV program. It brings us together, but you know, it's interesting. Thank you for those who are saying they're subbing. I think Peter Harrington saying, "Oh God," when he sees the photograph. Yes, I'm glad I got better. I wasn't worrying about it apparently, but everybody around me really was. A few operations to keep churning it out, but they got rid of it. But yeah, and it was because I couldn't walk because the sepsis went and attacked the leg that I started this channel, because I thought my retirement's going to be I can't walk much. I mean, I can. I'm fine. But so I actually sat down and edited and actually started to learn Cybermat how to do the YouTube stuff. And isn't it weird? So in a way, you know,
hats off to you. You know, you've pulled together, you know, some great panels, and you got a good team hanging around, and I think everyone's really enjoying it. So
yeah, and there's some lovely things. I mean, not everybody survives sepsis, I know. In fact, I was talking to a doctor recently, and he said, "My gosh," he said, "you're one of the rare ones." But yeah, I still don't believe it happened to me, Divine and Dragons. So I'm talking about it almost like I'm out of my own body here. I know it is so serious. I know I'm very, very, very lucky.
some people don't wake up from it.
No, I didn't know that my leg was swollen, and the doctor said it was a muscle issue. A muscle issue. So I was off work for a few days because I couldn't fit my leg into my suit trousers. It got so big. But
I think
then
Shooty has that problem sometimes. That's why he wears skirts.
oh, if the doctor had regenerated into me, I had the biggest legs in the business. Well, one leg was bigger than the other one. So
Like
yes.
a Ratu.
So the one thing, as I say to the thread, is I know I'm not talking about Doctor Who now, but it brought me more to thinking, let's create something, because if I'm going to sit on my backside, I need to be able to do something on this. And so it's just amazing. So thank you for joining us. You don't have to sub. You don't have to follow us. Please come on. I'm one of those who, I do have regular panelists, but we're such a new show that who's a regular panelist? I mean, anyone can be, really. So please join us. I enjoy debate. I enjoy exploration. I enjoy talking. Has anyone noticed that? So basically, please, if you want to join us, even for 5 minutes, I'm not one of those you have to join for 3 hours. And I know it's like Cybermat will be saying, can I go to bed soon? Is it your midnight now?
It must be close. Yeah, it is.
There you go. You see, as I'm doing this, I'm aware that you've got work, haven't you, in the morning?
Yeah. But I had a little nap so that I could be at my best.
Well, good for you. So everybody, thanks. I won't indulge anymore. Thanks. I just like to relate. We're all people, you know. That's why we want Doctor Who. Sometimes you want to watch something that doesn't remind you of what's happening to you. I think we've all been there. So at Divan and Dragon, I'll contact you in a minute to see if you want to chat. But everybody else, please DM us. I'll just show it one more time rather than rattling around like a bore. Can I just show you this, everybody? The yellow one is the best one, really. sensethesphere@gmail.com. If you want to be a panelist, want to come on only once, want to have a chat, want to send me essays, want to send me ideas, please do. It is a community, and I really mean that. And the other one that probably works best is X at the top at Sense the Sphere. Okay, so please do that, and we'll build this program properly. It is not me running a fiefdom. I'm enjoying just doing this anyway. Cybermat and Strikes and me got talking because he, in one of his YouTube comments, slagged off the puppets. and I responded, and then from then on, yeah, he slagged off the puppets. And they will be back. So that's what got us talking. Actually, sometimes when people criticize me, I come back not to have a fight, but I try and win them over. I'm that type, really. Okay, everybody, have a good night, have a good day, have a good morning. I've enjoyed this. As you know, tomorrow, the Sensory Saloon will do that deadline article. I'll be on it. And thank you, Cybermat Strikes, for giving me your time. And we'll do it again next week, shall we?
Sounds great.
So
see you, Ron.
Yes, certainly. I'll just line up my thanks for saying it's a terrific channel, Paul. I appreciate that. And
There's some nice comments there.
There's been people are lovely. I have to say, people say, watch out for trolls. You need a moderator. I don't need a moderator. Have I spoken too soon? Thanks, Divine and Dragon. Shall we talk in a minute? Right. Good night, everyone. Bye.